This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the bi-weekly Nacogdoches Chamber uh, Stakeholder Conference Call. And we're really pleased to have people with us here today. I know you're as anxious to hear what the forecast is from Sherry as I am. I'm going to confess at the start of this that I have no objectivity when it comes to the tourism and convention and meeting business. Having lived it for the better part of my life professionally, I recognize the value of it and I recognize the challenges associated with it. And we're fortunate to have someone with Sherry's skill set uh, and uh, and background leading our local efforts here. I will remind you this call is being recorded and will be posted later today on the Chamber's YouTube website. In addition to that, I will remind you that the media has been invited to participate in the conference call as well, and we welcome our friends from the media. And we thank them for the recent stories. The last call, I think, generated at least two, if not three, media stories in our local newspaper and in the broadcast media. So we very much appreciate that. And the last thing I'd ask until we're ready for the Q&A, I'd ask you to keep your phones on hold. So with that in mind, we'll begin our conference call this morning with a presentation from Sherry Chaney Morgan, the Executive Director of Visit Nacogdoches. I've had the privilege working now with Sherry for many years, and I have to tell you, she's just an incredibly wonderful colleague to work with here in Nacogdoches. What I love about her is her creativity. She's always looking for new approaches. I like the diversity of her programming, everything from accommodating the food trucks to the festival events going on to the marketing initiatives associated with the Texas Blueberry Festival. We are indeed very fortunate and lucky to have somebody like Sherry and her very talented staff, several of which are on this conference call with us here today. I'll remind you this conference call is sponsored by Overlook Apartments here in Nacogdoches, Burke, and also XLER, and we appreciate their continued support. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Sherry Chaney Morgan. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. I know when you heard you were gonna hear a whole bunch of data that just really made your collective skirts fly up, and you woke up extra early and put an extra zhuzh in your giddy up. But here we go anyway. We're gonna have some fun and share some information that hopefully you can find useful in your day-to-day operation. So I'm gonna share my screen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there we go. So let's. I said we were. It was my intention to. Okay. Got this.
Get Mike in there. He can help you.
Yeah, that's usually my go-to. He is our in-house tech support. Um, okay, we're gonna do it. It's happening. I see it right there. Okay. It's gonna take it a minute. Don't tell me I don't know how to throw a good party here, because there we go. Okay, so here at Visit Nacogdoches, we have the great opportunity every day to be the welcome to Nacogdoches for all of our visitors and the residents here of Nacogdoches that come through our doors at the Charles Bright Visitor Center um, to enjoy their stay or to move about and engage with our beautiful city. Sort of my philosophy on, we're called the Convention and Visitors Bureau. In the industry, different destinations, different cities are moving from that CVB, Convention and Visitor Bureau model, into a DMO, a Destination Management Office model. And it doesn't really matter what you call us. We all primarily are doing the same thing. Um, and this management cycle model was created by a woman named Mara Gast, and she leads the tourism efforts in Irving, Texas, and she's a past president of Destinations International. And so she puts forth, um, if you build a place people want to visit, you build a place where people want to live. And if you build a place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. And once you build that place where people want to work, you build a place where business needs to be. And if you build a place where businesses need to be, you've built a place where people have to visit. So it's cyclical, and it's also multi-beneficial to all agencies across city leadership and city government. So when the community service and Tommy Stanley in the Parks Department, when he is at the top of his game and the parks are immaculate, when the Streets Department with Kerry Walker and Steve Bartlett, all of those combined efforts that go to make sure our streets are safe, our toilets flush, fire and PD, obviously, when they're doing their jobs and our streets are safe, all of that leads to a quality of life. And that quality of life is a big softball that we can, we can lob for Larissa Philpott and Mary Francis and Casey Foster over in Nedco to knock it out of the park to help recruit international business as well as national businesses into Nacogdoches. And with the city showing new emphasis on creating more rooftops, more housing, available housing to welcome these industries in, because you welcome industries in, there has to be adequate housing, and we haven't had that in the past. We haven't had adequate housing to court major industry in here. So really what we're doing is we are all helping. It's like putting together a big jigsaw puzzle. We're all helping to set one another up for success when things are working great. So it really does matter what everybody does. And that's why in my closing statements on these calls in the past, I always emphasize everything that you do in ways big and small. And, another tag on to that is in ways that you don't even imagine make a difference. Trust me, they do. And that's not just me saying it or my staff saying it, but that's what we hear from the people that want to visit here, that look to relocate here, and that have moved their businesses here. We hear it from them in their own words time and time again. So the proof is in the pudding. We do visitor surveys here, and we've done them for decades. It predates me. They've always been done, and there's such a vault of information in those surveys that anybody is welcome to use. When I came in, we used it we backlogged and went through everything, and we identified the 5 top marketing pillars, the 5 top reasons that the people have told us why they come to Nacogdoches. I think the problem that destinations get into is when assumptions are made. Assumptions of why people come to Nacogdoches or what people want when they get here. I say cut out the guessing game, unless you look really good in that Carmack, the great turban that Johnny Carson used to wear. You don't have to guess. People are telling us. They're telling us, hey, when we come here, we would love to see a quilt store. When we come here, we would love to see a soda fountain shop. We would love more tours. These are coming from your target audience, so why wouldn't you listen to them? So food for thought. We are a member of the Texas Forest Trail region, and in that we have access to software that we otherwise wouldn't be able to afford. Datafy is a $20,000 a year software package that allows destinations to track cell phone information, and to track those days, to track those travelers, to see where they stop, where they're going, because in these days, most always, we have our phones with us. These are conservative numbers that we're about to go through, because cell phones are conservative. Sometimes when you're traveling, you turn them off if somebody else in your party has a phone, or there might be younger children that aren't, or those in your traveling party that don't have a phone, and so you can't track what isn't there. So these are some conservative numbers, and what they're going to do is they're going to help us see trends and tracks from 2018 to present. So what we're tracking here specifically, what we're looking at, these are in-state and out-of-state trips from a distance of 51 miles onward. So we, in the industry, we consider any visitor into town from 50 miles and beyond, those are visitors. And the date range that we're looking at is the summer, so from June 1st through the end of August. And in 2018, you can see that there were tracked 66,000 total trips, 101,000 visitor days where they came in, 53,000 unique visitors, so different people, and their average length of stay was a day and a half. So this is really good news in 2018. That day and a half means that most likely they either stayed in a hotel or they stayed with friends or family. If it were just a one day, then that's usually they drove in and then drove out. But that day and a half that shows that they stayed in our hotel properties. And if you don't know already, the CVB is fully funded through 72.5% of the remitted hotel occupancy tax inside the city limits. So we market to get people to come in and stay in our hotels. They stay in our hotels, they leave behind that tax money, and then that goes back into funding us. Those monies are restricted though, so we couldn't transfer those monies over into the general fund right away, because they're not meant for those uses. There's 9 approved uses for hotel occupancy tax. It really narrows down to 2, which is marketing and all things that are required in order to market. So your staff, our salaries can come out of that, our rent, our utilities, things like that for our operation. And then also historic preservation. So historic site gets about $20,000-ish a year, but we also spend dedicated dollars marketing those historic sites. Historic sites are capped by state law at 30% of all remitted hotel occupancy tax. So from what they get directly plus what we use here to market them for them, they fall within the guidelines of not going over. And then right off the bat every year, the Nacogdoches Expo Center receives $85,000. And that is a pre-existing contract that's been here for a long time. But Anita Scott and her team over there, they all, as we all know, they do a great job with the county fair and the rodeos that they bring in, the concerts that they do. So that $85,000 isn't a drop in the bucket when it comes to putting on all those performances, but it does sort of help them in sort of crowdfunding those things. So it's money that they don't have to seek sponsorships for and things like that. So that's sort of where the remitted hotel occupancy tax goes. These, you can see that, well, I'm pointing at my screen like a loser. Right here, these are from outside. So these are from 51 miles beyond. So these are people that, that came in 2018 just for the summer, not for the year. And then in 2019, you can see we saw some really great increases, didn't we? Except for length of stay, it was, down just 1/10 of a point there, but total trips almost to 100,000. Visitor days, 142,000 unique visitors, just right under 80,000. That's exciting for us. That means these people with disposable income and of a higher, tax bracket that are traveling in here, they're shopping in our shops, they're eating in our restaurants, they're tipping our wait staff, um, they're gassing up at our gas stations. It's an infusion of cash, which is going into not restricted funds, but it's going into the general funds through local sales tax. And that's the big money payoff. So when you have a vibrant and robust tourism scene in your town or destination, we're able to take those restricted funds and bring in the people with the income, and what they leave behind, the return on that investment, ROI, or the return on that advertising, ROA, is that they deposit money into general fund. And that's where you get street lights that stay on and street maintenance that, is easier on cars. You can buy fire trucks and police cars. You can build fire stations. That's money that the city and the populace, all the citizens in it, that's money that benefits you. On an average annually, from direct traveler spending alone, travel and tourism infuses $2 million into our general fund annually. And that's a lot. $2 million is a lot of money for anybody, but here in Nacogdoches, where if you look at our socioeconomic strata from, high wage earnings all the way down to poverty, we have a sad poverty level. It is, there are people literally just surviving, not just day to day, but hour to hour. And so they don't have that expendable income. They're busy putting food on the table and getting to work and doing what needs to be done. So we really do start to depend on these tourists to come in and keep keep Dolly's Diner active and open, and all of these great stores, Greer's, and all of these great, Fredona Brewery, all the great downtown stores that we have, and stores in general, being able to keep them open and in business. So tourism matters. Okay, so 2019, things were going up, they're trending up, right? And the things are looking good. And then 2020 happened in March around this time. We saw 90,000 trips, 140,000 average length of stay, and then our unique visitors. Doesn't look too bad. And then 2021 is the correction from the pandemic of 2019, 2020. So you can see, and if it were in a bar graph form, which I wasn't able to do, you would see the tremendous spike. So it looks like, oh, travel's back better than ever. But this was an overcorrection in the market. So total trips now, 176,000, visitor days 261, unique visitors 118,000. So while those are great and they had their benefit in the moment, it's not what we call sustainable. And in 2022, what we saw is those numbers start to come back down. So this again is looking at true visitors that came from 50 miles and beyond. We also were able to look at the data of 0 miles to 50 miles. So those that we consider sort of local or inside of our, what we call it here is hub and spoke, where Nacogdoches is the hub. And then we spoke out to Sherina and St. Augustine, Cushing, all of our surrounding communities in here. So, there, the data sort of speaks for itself. You can see the importance of that hub and spoke when you still see these unique visitors. They're coming into Nacogdoches, the city of Nacogdoches, not the county of, but the true city. They're coming in here to do their trading, their shopping, get their entertainment. Length of stay, like I said, is a day, so it's a day trip. In 2019, we saw more people doing staycations, and so they were once things started to open back up a little, then um, they started to really experience on a granular level the community here in Nacogdoches. And you can see increasing from 360 in 2018. Um, and this is the slump of the pandemic. And then you see the recovery, 585, 684. And then where we are today, it's still trying to, the saying goes, everything seeks its level, and that's what the market is trying to do right now. So still looks pretty good. These are all the hotels that we have in Nacogdoches, and rooms that they have available. So it's always good to sort of take a sort of a bird's eye view of the properties that we have here. On any given day for short-term rentals, more and more people are either creating short-term rental Airbnb, VRBO spaces in their homes, or they're buying properties and converting for that. That falls in line too, and we subscribe to a service called I can't think of it right now. Rentalscape, there it is. And that keeps track for our short-term rentals on that. Short-term rentals are just like hotels. You should be registering your properties with the finance department for the city. You are responsible, even if the platform that you're marketing on, Airbnb, VRBO, different ones like that, you are still responsible to remit your local hotel occupancy tax if you're operating inside the city limits. So all of that combined, we call it our STAR report, Smith Travel Research Report. And this documents only those hotel properties and B&Bs. There's a few B&Bs that were listed on that inventory sheet. Does include the Fredonia. That's something that's just happened in the last 3 years that we're able to sort of capture their data and compare it. So, for 2022, 2023, you can see that we're doing really, really well. This report always runs a month behind. So the most current numbers we have are for March 23. And you can see the difference. This year, for March, for example, we were at 66% occupancy of all of our available rooms. This time last year, we were not, and there was a 57% increase. Year to date for 2023, we're seeing increase in occupancy of 47.5%, and for the running 12 months, it's 52.5% for 2023. So for 2023, we're doing really well. Now, I think that's the end of the slides that I have. But real talk, we all know, and we've all been victims of increasing gas prices, increasing grocery prices. We've all joked about the price of eggs coming in, and all opinions out there are calling forecasting for a 2024 recession, and that calls the question of how's that going to impact tourism in general, and specifically here in Nacogdoches. Nacogdoches might be harder hit by a potential recession, just because we're what's known in the industry as a drive market. We depend on people driving in from 2 hours. That's our marketing range, so 2 to 3 hours. And with the price of gas going up, we're not going to be able, people just aren't going to be able to afford the gas, and then that translates out into airline travel for those destinations that have an airport that's accessible, to get people on flights in and out of there. So we might be a little harder hit, but we've survived the worst of the worst. Like, we've survived and come out on top of a global pandemic. And that's when people were quarantined and couldn't leave their home. So any effect that it's going to have will be temporary, of a recession. And so it's not that scary. It's one of those things you just have to look at the trends, see how you rebounded after the last sort of speed bump in the road. So our last one was a pretty big one, global pandemic, and we came out okay. It was rough 6 to 8 months there, and because it was an unknown. With a recession, most of us have lived through them before, and we know it's peaks and valleys for that. So we might have a bit of a valley, that allows your local tourism destination to, again, we know that in those times, locals turn inward and they start to do more staycations. They start to frequent, the recreational places in their own town more. And so we highlight those and we focus those. We do things like community movies. Um, we respond by using that time, not waiting for outsiders to come in until they can come in. We keep the party going, and our audience changes a little bit. So we look forward to introducing that side of Nacogdoches with the assets and the fun to locals that may have just moved here. Or, we hear this every day. People have walked by our building here forever and never taken the time to come in. So when they start to, usually we invite guests in and ask them to eat like a local and visit like a local. And so it gives us a chance to turn the tables and have our locals experience their town like a visitor. And we are so fortunate and so blessed to have such congenial community, and people are so friendly. Our fire department, and speaking with our interim city manager, he purposely would always keep maps with him, and he would walk up and engage with people that were wandering the streets looking like visitors. And I know when Chief Seavey was here, and I know Chief Weems with the PD is continuing all that. Dan Taravella, without a doubt. There's some really great officers in there that know Nacogdoches, love Nacogdoches, and are always looking for opportunities to share what they love about Nacogdoches with our visitors. So that's something that we can keep on doing. It's easy enough to do. From a business standpoint, use Fredericksburg, Texas as an example. 15 years ago, they were probably where Nacogdoches is right now, tourism-wise. We've got some things to do, but now Fredericksburg's main problem is over-tourism. They did too good of a job. But what happened was the business community responded with tourism-related, supportive businesses. So you saw more tour companies come up. We always have people come in asking for a guided tour of the gardens, of the historic districts, of our downtown, of the lakes, a trail leader. Those are all really easy businesses that somebody could do, or some of our innovative youth could do for the summer and earn some extra cash. The Visit Nacogdoches team would help promote that business for you. In the summer months when it's so hot, invest $5,000 and let your kids run a little ice cream cart around our building. If nothing else, you would make up the money for the investment, and you'd also be providing a great service to the visitors that come into town, and really anybody. We've had great fun in the last couple of months helping to support Susu's popcorn and candy as they launched their opening, and that's really what Visit Nacogdoches is about. We've tried to do events to help round out weekends, and we don't have the budget and we don't have the staff for that to be sustaining. We can do some, but not to the level or degree that we can. We really are a promotional office and we are destination marketers, and we like to think that we are also, we carry the brand of Nacogdoches and we help market that, and it's a great brand to have because we all know how special Nacogdoches is. So I guess, if I had to put the envelope to my head, I'd say probably this summer we're going to see some lower numbers when it comes just to general traffic, but I think we're going to rebound quickly. We just need to keep, it's really kind of common sense, just keep an eye on the prices of things, specifically gas. And in Nacogdoches, our average daily rate for hotel rooms is on the rise, so it's a little more expensive these days to stay in a hotel, but that can be a good thing too. But just keep, for those that have businesses that are open, remember your value proposition. What can you do to create value? Who could you partner with to create more value? Could you package together? Um, could you leverage two businesses together and create some experiences or opportunities for people to take advantage of, to pull them in? So there's lots of ideas out there. I'd be happy to set up appointments with you guys and discuss them more. If you see any data, or you can think of any data that might benefit you in your businesses or in your day-to-day life, happy to share. All of this is paid for with hotel occupancy tax, so it really does belong to the city, and we're always happy to support and share, because when one of us shines, we all sparkle. So happy to take any questions for those that have hung on.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sherry, for that excellent report and update. And we'll do our best to minimize the impact of maybe a soft summer with the Texas Blueberry Festival, and try to bump those numbers and occupancy and sales and everything else. Right now, I will tell you that we're tracking very positively. We're well over 160 booths with about 10 days left for booth registration, so we'll hit our mark. I'm confident of 200 booths uh, for the event itself, which means that we're going to have a lot of things for people to see and do. And I know that our chair, Grace Handler, and the committee, including Mary Montniak, who's on this call, are doing everything possible to be prepared for this great event. So, any questions of Sherry? Just one question, Sherry. Sherry, do we have a sense right now of what's going on in terms of the hotel community? There appears to be some major construction going on Upper South Street. I'm just curious to see if you have any better information than I do on that.
There has been, like you said, a lot of change, and it is in anticipation of the implications of I-69. So I think you nailed it in one of your recent newsletters, Wayne. The implications of things like placement of exits and signage, really some of the things that you think wouldn't have that great of an impact, it really does. And even with the flyover construction that we've been through and completed, there were some hotel properties where the placement of that wasn't necessarily advantageous to them. So it looks like we are due for at least one new property, a home-to-home property, right there on the corner before the underpasses leading into town. Um, we did have a a property that was flying under a larger brand lose their flag, and they're in the works of trying to regain that flag. And we've seen the Oyo properties, which I'm going to go out on a limb because I think Oyo and Nacogdoches they took a bad route. And Oyo in and of itself, it's a solid concept. It's sort of travel for the future. I just think the implementation of it here in Nacogdoches got off track somewhere. But it looks like those Oyo properties that we had across the street are falling to the wayside to make room for some new branding, and more rooms on our overall lodging inventory. But by and large, I think on any given day in short-term rentals, we have about 60 to 80 active listings of short-term rentals just inside the city limit. That's not taking into account those beautiful properties out in the county of Nacogdoches. But, trends are more and more that's the status quo. That's how people are showing that they want to travel is through that Airbnb experience. So, um, I don't know what that means. I think it, it calls the traditional hoteliers to task to really work on creating those experiences and the values and sort of programming for um, their potential customers to come in and stay at their properties. But there's changes in the future. I would imagine they're going to be slower because everybody is waiting as long as they can to see how I-69 progresses.
And then you end up complicating things too with rising interest rates. I noticed several of the hotels have changed flags recently out there. There's a new Quality Inn on South Street now as opposed to Oyo property, and I do see construction going on at the adjacent property across the street as well. So interesting. Well, any other questions with Sherry? Well, first of all, Sherry, thank you and your very talented and fine staff for the leadership you're providing in this essential part of Nacogdoches economy. And as I said at the beginning, we're really blessed to have you at the helm of the ship. Uh, I'm watching with great interest back in my former state of Maine about how uh, for years and years when I was involved with the tourism initiative there, we were attempting to get the cruise industry to
Mm.
visit ports like Portland and Bar Harbor and Booth Bay Harbor. And now, be careful what you wish for. Now the residents, there's an uprising going, and the residents are trying to limit the amount of ships coming in on a weekly basis. So they were tremendously successful in attracting new industry, new business. I'm just glad we're not the port of Nacogdoches, so that we're not fighting to keep cruise ships out of Nacogdoches. So there you go. So
Well,
thank you
thank
again,
you.
Sherry.
I wanted to take just a brief minute because I know I've gone on, but to thank you and your chamber staff for just your constant and reliable support of not just me, but yeah, me as a personal and an individual coming in somewhat new to this town. But you show up, you and your staff show up and support, and I wouldn't be able to do the job that I do without that kind of leadership and support in this community. So you bless us all with the services that you provide.
You're very kind, but we're both blessed with great people, so that makes our job easy. So I just take credit for everything everybody else does. So that's all it is. So.
Same.
Well, I see we have our friend Caroline Garner on the phone. Caroline, you got anything going on this weekend? Speaking of tourism and events.
Oh, what is that? Hi. Okay, I'm so sorry about that delay, Wayne. That's that like busy anticipation, right? So yeah, we have a little something going on, and in fact, I have a DoDat participant in my office right now, and that's why I was taking a minute to get to you. But somebody has come to pay for their spot. Oh yeah, at DoDat, that's what's going on. By the way, we are going to once again DoDat barbecue this Saturday at the Expo Center. We're so excited to have this event coming back again this year, better than ever since United Way revived it anyway with the help of Pilgrims. We have more teams than we have had since we started this as United Way. We have at least 30 teams. We think it's going to be in the low 30s. We've got so many vendors that the midway section is going to be filled. That's something in the teens. We have live music going all day. Of course, beverages by R&K with your admission of only $10. Only $10 gets you into the event. All the barbecue you can stand to go around and taste from the various cook teams, who, by the way, make it really fun. We have different themes, different approaches to the barbecue itself. And so it's just really fun to go around and try the different variations on the theme of barbecue. There'll be a competition again for the best pork ribs, the best beef brisket, the best chicken, and then also jackpot beans, and those winners will be announced at the end of the day on the stage about 5 o'clock. There also is an opportunity for the guests to choose their own winner. There's a People's Choice Award, and there will be a QR code that guests can just scan with their phone to go and log in and make their choice, their People's Choice. So that's kind of empowering too. Not only you get to taste barbecue and get the refreshments, you also get to vote for your choice of who you think is the best. It's all for a great cause, of course, benefiting United Way. Also, East Texas Community Health Service will be out there with COVID awareness and free vaccinations. Try to think of who else. It's sponsored by Pilgrims. They'll have a big setup. And yeah, I think, a children's area. That's what I was forgetting. This is a family event. So we have a wonderful family area, we call it, sponsored by McWilliams and Son, and that's going to have bounce house and an obstacle course and other activities, color sheets and whatnot. So bring the whole family. The weather is going to be amazing for it this year. That's what we do. We first thing we do when we plan to do that is we put a request in for good weather. And this year we're really getting preferential treatment on that. It's supposed to be just perfect, not too hot. Yes, that's this Saturday at the Expo. Gates open at 10 o'clock, and it goes until 5. So we hope to see you there. And Kelly's going to be there working in the judges area, food prep for the judges. So we really appreciate that. Yeah. So I hope to see you guys out there. And I guess while I'm talking, just real quick, I'd like to announce a couple of events that our agencies are having. Today is East Texas Giving Day, and we do have some partner agencies like Solid Foundation. Goodness, I don't have the list in front of me, but we have more than one of our United Way partner agencies participating in East Texas Giving Day. We choose as a United Way to not participate because we don't want to take away from what they are doing for that event, but that's something you can log online to. Tomorrow, Family Crisis Center. I don't see anybody on the call from, although maybe missing, but they often participate in chamber events, but they have a denim day to draw awareness to the issues that they deal with abuse and whatnot. And so that you can wear denim tomorrow to be an advocate for that. Boys and Girls Club is having a walkathon where you can look on our website and find more information about that. But they start somewhere downtown, down the hill, I'll say, and they end up walking all the way up to the Boys and Girls Club. And then there will be a celebration there with hamburgers and hot dogs. And they'll have a lot of their participants who people who go, kids who go to the club, and parents and people who work at the club, but they invite the entire public to come and join them for this event as well. So that's pretty much it. There's a resource fair also that NACCAN is having, but I think that's going to be after our next meeting, so we can talk more about that then.
Great. Any questions of Caroline? Well, fantastic. We appreciate it. I see I've got my colleague Mary Mutniak on the phone. Mary, are we all set for volunteers on your end for Blueberry?
No, we need a few more. Those of you that want to put in or know of someone that wants to put in about 3 hours from 4:30 to 7:30 a.m. or come back and 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. Love to have you. We're getting t-shirt sizes as we speak. So get your reservation in to say, yes, I'm going to volunteer this year. I have a lady that's volunteering coming from Porter, Texas down. She works in Livingston, and she's going to come up on Friday and volunteer for the 4:30 in the morning and attend the Blueberry Festival for the first time. So I was kind of excited that I'm bringing in somebody from, Sherry should like that, from outside, and she's gonna stay overnight. So anyway, anybody that knows anyone, come on, give me a hand, please.
Thank you, Mary. And they contact you, Mary, or just contact the chamber office?
Well, if they contact the chamber will send them to me, but contact me. I guess the easiest way, it would be an email, ae@pwaa.net, the Piney Woods Apartment Association website.
Mary, could you add that email to the chat section?
Sure.
That would
Sure,
be
I was
great.
enjoying Sherry's conversation, and I meant to put something in, but okay, will do. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Mary. Gary Lee Ashcraft, you're involved with Sawmill 6. You want to give us a little peek of what's going on?
Holy cow, I am. If you don't know what Sawmill 6 is, it's a NIL, name, image, and likeness organization. As some of you all may know, the world, the NCAA, in about 21 let the gates open to fund college athletes. And where we're starting at SFA, SU, is with the basketball team. You'll see, related to this meeting, you'll see the basketball players at the Blueberry Festival. Mary, I'll give you a call and kind of talk to you about, where we need to put them, that kind of thing. They'll certainly be out at Doodat on Saturday. They'll be working with McWilliams and Son and East Texas Community Healthcare Center. Those are two booths or vendors that'll be working with kids. One of them, I think, is going to have a kind of a little mini basketball court, that kind of thing. I've seen these guys in most all the schools working with high school, elementary kids. They are marvelous. They're very, very tall and big, but they love those kids. And it's a good way to get some of those guys in there, and they're good influencers of kids who may not have good influencers in our community. I've come from Caroline's World, the United Way, and we're very aware of kids without daddies and mamas and whatever. And those guys really connect with that because some of them are from that particular era. And then that's one of my deals, is to get them branded, and my other deal is to raise money for them. We aren't the big NIL schools paying millions to high school kids. We were very reasonable with what we do. You can go to our website and participate if you care to be a partner with Sawmill 6. We're very successful in doing that, and very, very thankful to the people that support basketball to punch a button to on the website to donate a little bit of money. That money helps those guys, especially in the summer. They are not wealthy athletes at all. And they're academically, they're very, very good. They work very hard, and it just kind of helps them to focus on their studies and focus on their sport and do what they need to. My biggest vision for this thing, and it's shared with me and my boss, Matt Rocco of ETech, is that we can fund every athlete that we have, from baseball to football to soccer to women's sports, all of that. We're already talking to the Lady Jacks. I will tell you that that's the way of the world of athletics now. And in order for us to be competitive, we need to be able to include that in the portfolio when we're out recruiting new players, that we do have an NIL program. I'll take any questions. All of this is new to me. It was a big surprise that I'm doing this. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. If anyone has any questions online here or offline, please give me a call and we'll go from there. I can be reached at 936, write this down, 552-6408. Our website is www.sawmill6man.com.
And Gary Lee, could I bother you to add that information to the chat section as well?
I'll do my best.
That would be great. And Mary, thank you for adding
Kelly,
what
if you
got.
don't mind just going ahead and putting that in for me, thank you very much.
Great. And I do want you folks to know that Grace Handler is on the call, but sadly cannot communicate, but wanted everybody to know that she's extremely excited about the lineup that we have going on for the Texas Blueberry Festival, and that there's a job for everybody that wants to participate. This thing's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of new twists and turns, and we appreciate the commitment that the city council here in Nacogdoches recently made to upgrade the electric system. It may not be available for this year, for 2023, but in 2024, we're going to have a much greater capacity to accommodate vendors and provide them electrical and water services. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate the continued support of the city of Nacogdoches and the Nacogdoches City Council and the rec department. They just do a great job. And I see that Kelly has added the Sawmill 6 contact on that as well. So we've got that in the chat section as well. Other announcements in the room here today while we're online? Anybody else?
Hey, Wayne, it's Darla.
Darla, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to kind of bring to everybody's attention. May 15th through 19th is National Salvation Army Week, and we are doing a week-long fundraiser that week, and I'll get the information to Kelly and get it out. But every night is going to be a different restaurant in town that when you go in and say you're there in support of the Salvation Army, they're going to donate 15 to 20% of their sales that day to us. In 2022, we saw a 73% increase in clients requesting assistance for financial assistance for utility and rental assistance. Fortunately, I was able to write some extra grants, but that funding's also gone. So we are now going to be dependent for a while on the nice people in Nacogdoches County that will help us get through and help us keep the lights on for our poorest of poor here in the county. So I'll get the information to Kelly on the restaurants and the times and stuff. And so I would love to see everyone come out and help support us.
Well, we'll certainly do our part on that, Darla. And at the same time, too, I'm going to add you to the agendas, the future agendas, with your permission, so that you can keep us updated on the Salvation Army activities. If Sherry Morgan's prediction is true, and that we're going to have a soft economy, the needs for both United Way, Salvation Army, and all of the wonderful work that the churches are doing is only going to be greater, and we got to all pull together and make sure that those among us that need the most get what they need. And
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the great work. Any other announcements from anybody?
Hey, Wayne, on the call is Tori Huddleston, and she is our new Main Street manager downtown. And I just wanted to give her a shout out. If you had a great time at this year's Wine Swirl, this woman worked her hands to nubbins to pull that off. That was her first big event, but I've only been able to work just adjacently with her, and she is a true professional. Nacogdoches is so lucky to have her, and I'd love for her to be able to introduce herself.
Good morning, Tori.
Good morning. I think that's probably the nicest introduction I've ever had, so thank you. Yes, I recently started in Nacogdoches for the Main Street program in January, so I'm still new to the area, but I was born in Nacogdoches, so I get that little bin slogan at the end of my name, those little initials. Should add that to my email tag. But yeah, I am very excited to be here. It's been a whirlwind with my first big project being the Wine Swirl on April 1st. I thought it was a joke at first, but they weren't kidding. So Wine Swirl I was blown away with the amount of support that the community has for that event. And overall, for all of the events that I've seen go on in Nacogdoches, it's just amazing to see how much this town likes to support everybody. And so that's been a really cool thing to walk into. So yeah, everybody downtown has been very friendly so far. I'm getting to know everybody, building all of those relationships, and Main Street is my only focus. And so I know past Main Street managers had multiple departments under their belt, and I did at my previous job. I was in charge of about 4 different departments, so I'm excited to only have one job, and I think downtown will benefit from that, for me only focusing on them and them alone. So something really big happening in October for us is we are hosting the Texas Downtown Conference through the Texas Downtown Association. And we will be bringing 200 to 300 downtown-minded people that are invested in economic development, historic preservation. We'll be bringing them to Nacogdoches in October. So we're really excited to be showing off our city, showing off what we're doing in downtown, and the conference will be, of course, at the Fredonia, so we couldn't even be more prouder than that. So big project ahead, and then all of the other events happening downtown that I get to just promote. I'm not in charge of, which I love that we have the community to do that as well. So that's kind of a brief overview of kind of what's on my plate.
Well, thank you. Any questions of Tori? And again, Tori, as I said with Darla, with your permission, I'll add you to the agenda for future reports so you can
Okay,
keep us up to date as to what's going on in terms of downtown activities. We
sure.
certainly appreciate the cooperation we have from the downtown merchants when we become the enormously disruptive influence with the Texas Blueberry Festival for about 3 days. But
Wayne,
yes,
Wayne,
ma'am.
does Tori know the dates in October?
Let me pull that up real fast. It's
I'm doing
the
some planning and I don't want to conflict.
So the Texas Downtown Conference is the last full week of October, so the 24th through the 27th.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
That's
I think
great, Tori. That won't interrupt my Halloween party, so that'll work out really good. I appreciate that.
Hey,
So,
Tori, on the 27th, I turned 75, just so you know.
we'll keep
Okay.
that to the list. We have Nacogdoches around that time as well, and I think that starts the 27th, I believe. I'm gonna double check with Texas or the Nacogdoches Cigar Company soon. So you can go to that, and I believe the SFA homecoming is around that time as well. So we're kind of bookended around two big events downtown. So it kind of worked out perfect. So Gary, you have plenty of ways to celebrate your birthday.
well, that's great. Well, thank you, Tori, and welcome aboard. We're just delighted to have you here as well. I will remind you to take a look at the chat section of the column. Gary Lee Ashcraft has published all sorts of personal information about himself. So if you're interested in that, please go there and also see the information Mary has posted as well. No relationship between Gary Lee and Mary. Having said that, I'm going to conclude my part and let my esteemed colleague Kelly Augustine, the Chief Operating Officer for the Chamber, close up the conference. Thanks, folks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us. What good information we have. I just threw in also in the chat box the link to our online event calendar. And just looking at it, it is packed. We have ribbon cutting celebrations with so many businesses coming up right now. Just this week, we're going to be celebrating with Dr. Gia Murata with Nacogdoches Memorial Hospital. That's tomorrow. On Thursday, we'll join a lot of good folks at Fredonia Early Childhood Center, the newly renovated Nacogdoches ISD property on South Fredonia Street. And also, Shoe Sensation is going to hold a ribbon cutting at 11:30 on Friday that will kick off their full weekend of grand opening events and specials. They have food trucks and giveaways and all kinds of cool stuff. Looking at next week, kicking off May, we'll be holding ribbon cuttings with Stallion Metal Steel Buildings, the Wagner Family Health Clinic, Lamplight Theater, another good tourism draw for Nacogdoches. They have a special reason to be celebrating, so I hope you can join us for that. And last but not least, What the Fork Food Shack in Sackle, Texas. We'll be holding a great ribbon cutting. We hope everybody can make it out to the great city of Sackle and be with us for that. Hey, so today is Alive After 5. Yeah, it's not a Thursday, it's a Tuesday, but today is Alive After 5 hosted by Goodwill, one of the downtown locations. Tori, I think you said you were gonna make it to that, and that will start at 5:30 today. We also want you to mark your calendars for May's Alive After 5 that will be hosted by RV Outfitters of Texas. That's gonna be May 18th. Tomorrow, we're going to hold a chamber lift-off experience. And I want to bring that up to this group because you guys may know someone who is interested in joining our chamber or maybe a member and just doesn't know what all the good things we're doing and they need to know. So that's a free of charge get together we're going to have here at 3 p.m. tomorrow at the chamber, and just let folks know that they can join us for that. Eggs and Issues will be Thursday morning starting at 7:30 a.m. We're going to have a presentation. Hope is not a strategy for success. Programming and Vision for Early Childhood Development in Nacogdoches with Mr. Charles Zamanek, or Mr. Z, as so many know him. He's the principal of Fredonia Early Childhood Development Center, and an opening will be given by Dr. Trujillo. So that's just a few of the things coming up. Many other programs are running at the Chamber right now, and I'm glad that Wayne brought up the Blueberry Festival, because that seems to be everything we're living and breathing at the moment. If you're interested in being a sponsor for that festival, this is the week to let us know, because this is when we go in full force with our festival events, sponsors, volunteers, and activities. Thank you, guys. Wayne said I could close it out, so I'm going to wish everyone a great day, and we will see you at Alive After 5 today at Goodwill.